Okay, so I am just going to be walking you through replacing a 3-inch flush valve for an American Standard. This is the long format. So I always flush the tank first, and then I get the excess out by taking out the fill valve there and just a bucket underneath to make sure you've got enough room in the bucket for the water. Then I just wipe it with a paper towel, clean it up. It's a little easier to get your hands in there with a sponge. With this particular tank to bowl, it's really deep set in the bowl, so I kind of get creative. And I got my fingers in there and I was able to loosen it like that. So next I take apart the tank, I remove the gasket first, and when I do tank to bowls I like using the extra nut and washer and rubber washer on the tank side. It allows better leak protection and makes the installation easier down the road. So I just take these off with some mini channel locks. I'm just spinning them off right now. And I pop them out. So it's important to note that when you're doing this, normally I'm at a weird angle trying to show what I'm doing, but I normally wouldn't kind of like thread this out like this. Kind of makes it more difficult, but just loosen it, spin it by hand. They're typically plastic. One important thing to know is if the tank to bowl bolts are rusted on, just take a Sawzall and saw them. So this Fluidmaster is really nice. We used to get them at Home Depot, and I went this weekend. I couldn't find any, but these are really nice replacement ones that we've been using for years. So I'll just get it set in place. Make sure that the fill valve won't be in the way of it, and it's going to work properly traffic-wise. Just tighten it by hand, and then you're just going to take your oil filter channel locks and tighten it up snug, and you'll feel it. You don't want to over tighten it. You could split that nut. I've never had it happen, but I imagine it's a possibility. So right now I was just making sure that that fill valve wouldn't be in the way. And this is the Wolverine brass fill valve, which we really like. We've had good luck with. So I just take the brass nut off and put it into place. Make sure that traffic's going to work okay there, which it would for me. So I just start by getting it on by hand. Then a lot of times I just take mini channel locks, and that's when I just start tightening it up after that. And I prefer brass whenever there's water supplies involved, just because of leaks. Plastic, you can over tighten it and split it. Brass is a little more reliable, and for the extra money you can't really beat it. And Wolverine brass isn't hit on everything, but this is a product that I really like, and I realize I make a lot of funny faces when I'm doing stuff. Next, I took the handle out. It was plastic, so it's prone to breaking, and I just decided to swap it out, and I'm going to put in a Wolverine brass handle on there. And you're going to see shortly, I fell, I'm showing the handle there, the model number. I put it in place, kind of see how it's going to line up, and threads are reverse on handles, so you actually have to thread in the nut reverse, but I'm kind of bending it so it's a little more ergonomic in the tank. So I'm getting in, doing a couple test flushes, making sure I'm not going to hit the lid of the tank. Once I know that, I kind of thread everything in. And it's important to note that, sometimes handles can change position in a tank, and you have to be mindful of that when you're setting your chain for a flapper. And this may seem like simple stuff to most people, but I'm just going under the basis that I don't think you guys know anything, which maybe is ignorant, I don't know. So I'm tightening it up reverse right now, and they do that so that the nut doesn't come undone when you're constantly flushing it. It actually tightens itself. So I used a different gasket on the flush valve here than what comes with the kit. This I think is a Kohler for it, but we like it, so I'm just cleaning this up with a Brillo pad, getting all the loose stuff. It wouldn't stay on the nut, so I just set it in position, then set the tank on it. And when you're getting these tank to bowl set like this, and don't mind my cake there, you want to kind of push down and compress that gasket so you can thread stuff on hand, especially with this, as deep seated as this bowl is. It was kind of difficult. So I'm pressing it down, getting everything snug, and then I'm working back and forth between the two sides to evenly tighten it as I go. And this will make it so the tank's flush and that gasket's compressed evenly across both sides. So I have a long-handled screwdriver on top, and when I was taking it apart, I was using just my nut driver without any extensions because of how far it was. It made it easier. So now I'm checking level, and I'm shaking it, and it feels stable because there's nothing worse than sitting on a loose toilet tank. So from here, I start working on my copper supply line, which whenever you do these, they're kind of complicated at first, but they're pretty easy after you've done them a few times and they don't leak. So I get it in place, I'll take a measurement, and Usually if it's under 2.5 inches, I use my bender for a 45, which on another video I showed how I actually do the bending. So here I use a 45 because a 90 wouldn't, I think a 90's minimum is 2.5. So usually 2.5 I go for a 45, and that's what I did here because it gives you a little more wiggle room. So I like to just start both threads even just a little bit, and then I'll tighten them with the channel locks and a toothless tool of some sort. I know I didn't hold back, but oh well. And then I give it a test flush, I check for leaks, and everything's perfect. Thanks for watching.